Hello everyone, welcome back to Pop Around channel, and thank you for joining us today. Yesterday we started from Belfast, headed up north along the coastline in which we managed to visit 7 places and finally made it to the top of the island. For folks who haven't watched our previous episode, you can go to my channel and look in the Northern Ireland playlist and check them out. We stayed in the Maghernahar House B&B in Ballygally, which I totally recommend. The owner was very kind and friendly. That also provided a full mixed berry bowl for each of their guests. Yogurts, selections of milk, juice, and cheese are also available in the fridge next to the huge variety of cereals and muesli that the Maghernahar had neatly laid out on the table for their guests. Other than that and a very friendly informative service, the Maghernahar had offered a lovely made-to-order breakfast, which I'd recommend fried soda bread and their lovely potato bread. And because the Maghernahar House is only 10 minutes away from one of the most visited Game of Thrones filming location, the dark Hedges was the first destination for the day. This very old beech tree avenue is located on Brigg Road, which is closed now possibly because there's a lot of pedestrians like us walking around in the middle of the road taking pictures of the now very famous Tree Avenue. But don't worry because there's a free car park nearby. It would have been just an ordinary tree avenue before it appeared in the Game of Thrones series, but now this atmospheric tree tunnel is probably one of the busiest tree avenue on the planet because we arrived at around 10 o'clock in the morning, and at first we saw a few people, professional photographers, and even a model. But by the time we made it to the end and on the way back, we can already see the crowd started to build up. And by the time we arrived at the car park, we can already see a tour bus parking waiting for the tourists to disembark. So my advice, if you want to visit, please try to arrive as early as possible or visit the dark Hedges in the evening when there's still light to avoid the crowd. Because we stayed so close to the dark Hedges, we were able to visit the place again in the evening, and there were much fewer people here, so we were able to have the dark Hedges for ourselves at least for a few minutes before other parties had arrived. So we've done the very famous tree tunnel. Today we're going to be doing 2 more very popular places on the Causeway coastline. Now let's go to our next destination. Guess where we are? The ticket costs £13 per adult and £6.50 per child. You will be asked for your booking reference upon entrance. Advanced booking is recommended because there's going to be a lot of tourists coming from around the world and we don't want to blow our chance this time. You can do that on the National Trust website, and as usual, you'll find the link in the description. You will also be given a paper wristband in which they will scan at the visitor center's entrance. There you will also be provided with an audio guide, which is free of charge. There is a gift shop, a cafe, and a small theater playing a brief history of the legend at the visitor center. The distance from the visitor center to the Giant's Causeway is approximately 1 kilometer, in which you can walk or take a bus to the site. The Giant's Causeway is where you can find about 40,000 interlocking basalt columns, although I've never counted them. These dark hexagonal columns are the product of an intense volcanic activities that happened over 50 to 60 million years ago. It has become a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1986, and since we're here, I'll tell you about the legend of the Giant's Causeway while we're exploring this incredibly stunning natural beauty. These beautiful hexagonal columns that appear on the shore are believed to be the remains of a causeway built by a giant named Finn McCool, who was challenged by another giant in Scotland, which at some point on the coastline we can actually see Scotland right across the sea. Finn obviously accepted the challenge and built this causeway across the sea all the way to Scotland in order to get to the other giant, whose name I can't even pronounce. There are a few different stories about the causeway, but one of them goes that once Finn had found that the Scottish giant was way bigger than him, he decided to disguise as a baby sent to defeat Benendaner, the other giant. The Scottish giant saw the size of what he thought was a baby giant. He imagined that the father must be a giant among giants. He then fled back to Scotland and destroyed the causeway behind him. Now before we move on, I just want to warn you a little bit about these columns. Their heights are different and some are taller than the others, as you can see here. However, the distance between them might not be wide enough for your knee. And they're solid rocks, so step carefully and try not to knock your knee on any of them like I did. It's funny how a few certain things found on this shore are somewhat supporting this mythical story. For example, the shape of this rock found on Port Nofford looks similar to a big giant boat. And these beautiful columns are looking similar to a pipe organ. The rock on top of that island actually looks a bit like a throne or a seat. Now let's hike up further and see what else is on the shoreline. The total distance from the visitor center to the amphitheater is only about 2 kilometers, and since it's about lunchtime now, so we're gonna have to trot back, and that will make a 4-kilometer walk at Giant's Causeway. Our next destination is gonna be a bit exciting because we're gonna be crossing a North Atlantic Sea from the mainland to a small island on a wobbly rope bridge. So if you're ready, let's get going! Carrick-a-Rede is another popular tourist destination on the Causeway coast. This 20-meter rope bridge is hanging 30 meters above the sea surface, which makes the small volcanic island accessible. Before entering the car park, the staff will ask for your booking, so surely you will need a ticket in advance if you're interested in crossing the rope bridge. The ticket is £13 per adult and £6.50 per child, and you can book your ticket on National Trust website. As usual, you can find related links in the description. Carrick-a-Rede Rope Bridge is originally built by salmon fishermen in 1755, and for a long time, hundreds of salmon are being caught here every day. But the site is no longer used for fishing anymore due to a massive decline in the number of salmon. So 1.32 kilometers is a pretty decent afternoon walk, and that is the distance from the car park to the edge of Carrick-a-Rede Island. I love the views all around the island because here we can see Scotland in the distance, just behind Rutland Island, which is only 4.5 miles away from here. Rutland Island is where thousands of puffins come to breed. The views here at the cliff edge, looking back at the coastline from the island, is pretty spectacular. And here where my husband is pointing at is pretty special because the cliff edge on Carrick-a-Rede Island is used as a high-rise condominium where seabirds like kittiwakes, gallinuts and a few more share their living spaces. And I don't know if you can see in the camera here, we have a seal popping its head up, and I think he just caught a fish and having a great meal. I know it's quite a long episode, and I'm glad you made it to the end. I hope you enjoyed my video. Please consider like, share and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Our day 3 in the Northern Island will continue in the next episode, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Bye now!